All right. Late night,
Study.
quick study.
Yeah, like that.
Late night, quick study, man. This one sprung up tonight real fast. This is not going to be long. Let's try to shoot for 10 minutes, man. Maybe 10 to 12 minutes. But this one tonight started from teaching the boys law, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sitting down teaching my sons their nightly law as we teach them one of the most highest laws every night. Um, and the law we read was in Deuteronomy 32. I'm sorry, it was Deuteronomy 32. It was also in Exodus. So we were going through, but it made us again go back to Deuteronomy 32. And Pastor even spoke about Deuteronomy 32 last Shabbat. But here's the question we're going to raise, okay? And we're going to show you the hypocrisy. Not only the hypocrisy, but just the foolishness, man, in this religion, man. It's off the chain. The religion called Christianity. I mean, it's off the chain, man. And it's something so simple, again. But let's get right to it, okay? So, how many times, here's a question. How many times have you heard in church growing up the pastor say, God will never leave you nor forsake you?
Rack of times.
Bunch of times, right? I mean, I know I've heard that my entire life. I've heard it spoken softly. I've heard it yelled. I've heard it with a lot of passion and emotion. I remember growing up, you hear them old past, and God will never leave you nor forsake you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with all the emotion, right? So we're gonna break this down real fast, man, because as we know, from what Isaiah 28:10, the line must be upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Look at this. So let's go right to it, right? Hebrews 13, verse 5. I'll read that one, bro, and then you go to Deuteronomy. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, as you know, anyone who studies this word, you know that whatever you read in what people call the New Testament or the Brit Hadashah, right? Whatever you read here, you got to confirm it in the Tanakh. You got to confirm it in the Law and the Prophets. Okay? And majority of the time, especially Paul makes statements that people think they understand, but they don't understand because they don't know the law. And that's why Paul said in Romans 7, verse 1, he said, I speak to them that know the law. Okay? Which means majority of y'all should just stop reading Paul, period. Majority of these people should just stop reading the letters of Paul. Because he said he's speaking to them that know the law. Okay? But let me read this. Hebrews 13, 5. Okay? Look what he says here. He says, let your manner of life be without covetousness, and be content with such things as ye have. For he has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Okay? As we stated before, you hear that so many times, right? I mean, all throughout my life, I heard that. He'll never leave me, he'll never forsake me. Which we know now to be very true, right? I mean, we know now to be very, very true, okay? But again, it all comes from somewhere. So you realize where it comes from. You got to go back, Law and the Prophets. So we find this one in the Law, right?
Yes, sir.
Go to Deuteronomy 31 and read verse 6, excuse me.
Be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them. For Yahweh Elohim, he it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail you, nor forsake you.
He will not fail you, nor forsake you. Okay? He will not leave you, nor forsake you. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay? So we're gonna jump around a little bit here because I want y'all to see this thing, okay? So this is what sparked the whole thing. It was Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 20, okay? So let's go back. Let's read this. 32 and verse 20. This is what got me tonight. Watch this. Deuteronomy 32 verse 20. He said, and he said, this is when the Most High is rebuking Israel and basically telling they stiff-necked, they're forward generation, and what he's going to do. Now watch this. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. We read that tonight with the boys. I mean, it just took the study for a whole swing.
Yeah.
My boys was over here hurting. My youngest was hurting because he usually get ready to go to bed. But we got to talking about this because, again, he said they're a very forward generation, and it literally says children in whom is no faith. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. When I grew up in the Christian church, right, and even when I left home, when I went to college, when I went to the professionals, whenever I would go to church, I would always hear people talk about, even when I retired, faith, faith, faith. We got faith. I got faith in Jesus Christ. Faith in Jesus Christ. Okay? But now coming into the faith, coming into the knowledge of the truth, of what this word say, you can't have faith or say you have faith in the Messiah, but don't do what he tell you to do. Mm-hmm. And see, most people that say, well, I do. I love him, and with all my heart, mind, and soul, and I love my neighbor as myself. Do you? Do you, or are you just making that statement? Because again, most people tell you love is an action, right? Mm-hmm. It's an action. Okay, so now watch this. We just read what he said in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 20, right? About they have no faith. If you remember this chapter, it was a continuation from chapter 31, which you're going to see here in a second, right? Why? Because in chapter 30, which I was telling everybody to look at last week, it was such a beautiful thing, even verse 1 through 6, just telling you what he was going to do for us, really. Right?
Yep.
So then now, but you see in 31 and 32, the Most High telling Moshe, this is exactly what they're going to do. They're going to turn away. Again, turn away from what? His Torah, his law, his instructions. No matter how you want to say it, his commandment. They was going to turn away from it by what? Not doing it. A physical thing for them to do. Again, faith is not just saying I have faith in Jesus Christ. And most people say, oh, I know that. Well, if you know that, why don't you have faith by doing what he says do? You must apply it in action, in a physical action. Mm-hmm. And that comes through doing his law because he does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Well, I do that. People say, I keep the commandments. You do? I don't murder. I don't steal. That's usually what people say, right? Okay. But how many idols is it? How many graven images that he commands you not to have? Mm-hmm. Anything that's in the heaven above, that's in the earth beneath, or the waters under the earth. He said, you shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I am the Lord your God, am a jealous God. And then he said he would visit the iniquity or lawlessness of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that love him. But he would show commitment, love, mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and guard my commandments. Guard or keep my commandments. Okay, so graven images. How many people got graven images?
Wear them on their neck.
They wear them on their neck all the time.
Got them in their houses.
Got them in their houses. He said nothing that's in the heaven above, right?
Yes, sir.
Why people got angels? You go to people's houses, angels all over the place, right? Halos and all that stuff, like they know what an angel look like. Every time I read in this book, somebody saw an angel, they played dead. Mm-hmm. They were terrified. Graven images. They got songs about the old rugged cross. People bow down to it, bow down at the feet of the cross, and all of this stuff, right? That's what he's saying. But you keep the commandments, we ain't gonna get on the Shabbat. We ain't gonna get it because we want to stay the course, right? I said this movie is gonna be 10 minutes. We at 10 minutes now, bro. Look like we're going for another 10, huh? But look what he said. Go to Deuteronomy 31:17. I wrote them down here. Deuteronomy 31:17. Read that, bro. Here, read it out of this one, because folk are not going to understand the Hallelujah scriptures. But read it out of this one. 31:17. Watch this.
Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, are not these evils come upon us, because our God is not among us.
Read that verse again, bro. Verse 17.
Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them.
Stop. Then my anger will be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them. Remember how we started this thing? People saying, he'll never leave us nor forsake us. Here it is, he's making a statement saying, I will forsake them. Well, again, when you read this chapter and many other things throughout the entire Tanakh, when you get in the Gospels, when you get in the letters of Paul, when you get all the way through this entire Bible, when the Father turns his back is when you are in constant disobedience to what he has prescribed, to what he has instructed. Again, it's a physical thing. You cannot just say, I have faith. How many people do you know that says, I have faith in Jesus Christ? I have faith. If you have faith, you do it, man. This is the number one thing. And a lot of people that will see this will be Israel, okay? But again, we always do these not only to, well, not always. We do them sometimes, for the edification of Yah's people, but also so one person. If one person on the outside, on Facebook, YouTube, somebody says, man, them dudes reading straight from the book, what are we going to do? Direct them straight to pass, call this number. Because we just talking about barely surface level stuff. That's the first thing we learned coming into the faith. It's an action. You got to do what is written. Well, it's not the law. How can you say that? But then out of the same mouth, somebody will say he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He changes not.
Right.
It's his Torah.
Yeah.
And majority of people that make that statement don't understand the law because they ain't never read it. What we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, the law is what? It's spiritual. This thing is spiritual. Watch this. James chapter 2. I remember my high school coach when he made this statement. The first time I ever heard this verse, and me in my young ignorance, not knowing the law, didn't know. Later on in college, I went and got this verse tattooed on myself because I applied it to football. Now it has again, the law. A lot of the law you can see in a natural sense, right? But again, it's spiritual. Okay, so James 2:17. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Right? I went and I tatted on myself because I said, man, I could want to be good in football all I want to, but if I don't work for it, it ain't gonna work. Well, you can use it in that context because it's the truth. It's like anything, right? Yep. But again, he ain't talking about your pleasures. He talking about faith in him. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone, which means if faith is alone, it's dead. If you have works and it's alone, it's dead. They must be together. They must be together. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like majority of these pastors' lips need to be together. Okay. Inside joke. Inside joke, man. All right, look, man, keep going, because I ain't cutting that out, bro. That was funny, though. Hey, look, man, so look. But if you keep reading, right, look at this, man, because he's going to show you the Bible And then he's going to show you Christianity today too. All in this, man. Watch this. Verse 18. He says, yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Okay? Let's think about it. I said he can show you this whole thing, right? When you read in the days of the Messiah, you had the Pharisees, Sadducees, and what were they all about? Law, right? But the Messiah, the testimony that all the prophets spoke about, was sitting right in front of their face. And they thought they ain't need him. In fact, they killed him. Yeah. Right? Today, it's just flipped. Everybody in today, mainly in this religion called Christianity, says, Jesus, 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 Jesus. All I need is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But no works. In fact, they make statements saying that you don't need a work, that there's no works.
Saved by grace.
They say, oh, we're saved by grace, like grace is this new thing. When you can read about grace throughout the entire book.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Again, it takes both. Oh my gosh, you're adding. It's just Jesus. Here's the patience of the saints. Them that keep the commandments and have faith in Jesus Christ. Revelation 14:12, right? Those are the saints. Them that made it to the kingdom. Yep. What 12:17? Revelation. Read Revelation 12:17, bro. Read in this one because they're not going to understand it in the scripture. Read Revelation 12:17. This is like basic, right? This will help this. 12:17.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
Who's the dragon? Satan, right?
Yes,
it was wroth. It was upset with the woman and wanted to make war with the remnant of her seed. Mm-hmm. The remnant of her seed. Ah. Well, if you go back and you read the first book of the Bible, and I'll just give you a nugget, Genesis 3:15. Okay? You go back and read that. You'll see who it is. Was wroth with the woman, and the remnant, meaning very few of her seed. Go ahead.
Which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony.
Which keep the commandments of Elohim and. That means to add something, right?
Yes, sir.
And have what?
The testimony of Jesus Christ.
Have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Oh. Isaiah 8:20. To the law.
And to the testimony.
That's the commandments, right? Law. To the law and to the testimony. They spoke about this one to come, right? Yes, he says if they do not come speaking according to this word, what word? Law, testimony. He said that is because there's no light in them. So all your pastors out there, they tell you Jesus, 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 and you're not under his Torah to do his instructions. They have no light in them. Oh my gosh, how could you make that statement? They went to theological school. They went to Dallas Seminary School. What did the book say?
Exactly. Just that.
He got all these degrees. What the book say? He say he a theologian. What the book say? Mm-hmm. Right? To the law, to the testimony. If they come not according to his word, that is because there is no light in them. Jesus made a statement. I am the way, the truth, and the light. No man goes to the Father but by me. So how do you say you have the light in you? How do you say you have Jesus in you, his spirit, but you tell people to disobey him by not doing what he says? Mm-hmm. Isn't Jesus the Torah that became flesh? Yes, sir. Or the law that became flesh? Okay, so let's keep going. Look at this statement. Verse 19. Thou believest that there is one Yahweh, thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. There goes so much for your Trinity. Thou believest that there is, that's New Testament too. Yep. Thou there believest that there is one God. thou doest well. The devils also believe and what? Tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? He asked the question, right? Look what he says. Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son upon the altar? So did Abraham says, I believe I can offer Isaac. I believe I can offer. That's Christianity. Yeah. I believe that I can offer Isaac. I believe that God told me to get up and offer my son as a sacrifice. I believe that God told me to get up and get out of my father's house. I just believe it. No, he got up and he did something. He obeyed the Most High's word in action. In action. Okay, watch this. Seest thou how faith wrought with his works, and by works was made perfect. So you say you have faith, it has to be accompanied by the works. Works, that's why the Bible always uses words like walk. It doesn't, or do. It doesn't say. It says those who walk. Because walking is an action. Mm-hmm. You physically do it. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay, watch this. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. That's Genesis 15:6. Yeah. Okay, how did he believe Yahweh? He did something, right? Yep. No, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But you don't do nothing he say. I'm not under that law, but you don't do nothing he say. Ain't never read it. I'm telling you, majority of people that make that statement, they have never read it.
Nope. Like I said, like Jesus was born under Torah.
Come on,
if you
man.
say you follow him, why are you not under Torah?
Come on.
Makes you a liar and the truth is not in you.
Oh, he fulfilled the law. They just won't read the whole verse. Matthew 5:17, right?
Yes, sir. Do
not think that I have come to destroy the law and the prophets, what you call the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. I have not come to destroy, but fulfill. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so he walked around fulfilling the law. Right? And then he tells you until heaven and earth pass away, not one jot or tittle will be done away with the law. John tells you later on in the book, Yohanan says that you ought to walk. There he goes. Yeah. You have to say as he say. No. You ought to do what? Walk. That's an action, right? It means you're physically doing something. You ought to walk as he walked. Don't it say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But my pastor said what the book say. But my grandmama said what the book say. Because your pastor, grandmama, nobody will stand before the Most High except you. Mm. That's a terrifying thing. I wonder why he say fear. I wonder why he say, how about this? Say out your salvation with fear and trembling. Does he say that?
Workout.
Does the book say out your salvation with fear and trembling? Because that's Christianity in a nutshell. Yep. Say, no action. Why do you think so many people lead a church and call them hypocrites? The book, it says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Work is in action. You must physically do work. Because the Most High is concrete. He doesn't leave anything to your imagination. He doesn't leave anything for you to assume on how to do. No, he tells you exactly what to do step by step. Or saying by saying. He tells you exactly what to do step by step. Ain't that what this book, right? This is basic. Okay? Look what he says here, though. This is the dagger. Watch this. Verse 23. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was imputed to him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of Yahweh. Didn't Jesus tell the disciples, no longer will I call you servant, will I call you friend?
Yes, sir.
Because you do what he say, right?
Yes,
okay, look what he say. See ye. He says, verse 24, that by works a man is justified, and not by faith only. I mean, you can read the rest of the verse. Likewise, also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works? No, she just told him, please, I believe you can come in my house. That what Rahab, did Rahab say that?
No.
Or no, did she say, come in? Right?
Mm-hmm.
She physically hid them, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
Did she physically hang something outside the door so when they came back and wrecked the whole city, they knew not to go and kill whoever's in their house?
Yes, sir.
She physically did something, right?
Yep.
No. She just said it. She just, what did the pastor say? Mental assent?
Yep.
She physically did something. Right? Okay, look what it says. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. You can't say you believe Jesus and you don't do what he says. And people that say, most people will agree with this. They'll say, oh yeah, but at the end of the day, you are made righteous when you do what he tells you to do. Abraham, it was imputed to him righteousness. Why? Because he did physically what the Most High told him to do. Didn't he say that your righteousness is as of a filthy rag? Mm-hmm. Your righteousness. That's what you do. But when you physically do what he says do, then what is it? Now you're made righteous by him because you do what he says. Oh, no, we're not under the law. No one can keep the law. That's what we grew up hearing, right? That's what we grew up hearing. No one can do it. In fact, if you become a student of this thing, like our pastor always preaches, right? Go back, search everything out I'm saying, prove everything, because he's just telling you to do what the Bible tells you to do. Yeah. To be like the Bereans, right? Who are what? More noble. Why? Because they went back and searched the scriptures. Okay. Go to Psalm 37. Read verse 25. Psalm 37, 25. We're almost done. Psalm 27, 35. 37, yeah. Sorry. 37, 25. Look what he says here. How many times have you heard this one?
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I have been young, and now I'm old. Yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
Have I seen what? The righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. You know the problem? You want to know the problem in this false religion called Christianity? Nobody's honest. Nobody's honest. He says he has never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Now you tell me, how many people in these Christian churches can go out here and say that? First of all, if you would do his law, nobody would be begging bread. Because the tithes would fill up the storehouse. You would live in common unity. You would come out from among them. You would be ye separate. You would touch not the unclean things. Then you would not receive her plagues. And if you do those things, he will then what? Receive you. That's what his book say, right? So let's just say something simple as, haven't seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed begging bread. How many people we see begging bread?
In his ministry? None. Out in the world?
Not in this ministry.
All the time.
Not in this ministry. Why? Because just something as simple as written in Torah about your substance and bringing it together. Selling what you have that you see in the book of Acts. And coming together and laying it before the apostles' feet. Today, before men you can trust. That's what pastors talk about all the time. Man's proof. He's proven. I said it today. This is my second video today, bro.
Yeah.
Wow. The man is proven. Tried. Never seen nobody. Why? Because they come together. The substance together. So everybody has what they need. But no, you're not under the law. You wonder why your seed is begging bread. but you ain't under. You see what I'm saying? It's just hypocrisy, man. So we're gonna read the last one. Go to Joshua, bro, and then we're gonna leave him alone. Joshua chapter 1 and start at verse 5. I want y'all to think. I see this same verse, man, when I tell you it's all over people's Facebooks, cars, work desks, and signs, frames and pictures, and all over the place you'll see this. Joshua chapter 1, verse 5. Be strong and of good courage. Right? How many times have you seen that? Let's go. Read from verse 5.
There should not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not fail you, nor forsake you.
He will not leave you, nor not fail you, nor forsake you, right? Yes, let's see how he won't do that. Keep going.
Be strong and of good courage, for unto his people shall you divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto thy fathers to give them. Only be you strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law.
Stop. Only be strong and very courageous. The verse before he tells you, be strong and of good courage. Then he says what? Only. You notice the word there? Look what he says. Only be strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to say.
Do.
Say.
Do.
No. To do, right? Physically, according to all the law. Go ahead, keep reading.
Which Moses my servant commanded you.
Which Moshe the servant commanded you. Go ahead.
Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you mayest prosper wherever you go.
Okay. Turn not from it, from the right hand, nor to the left. Turn not from what?
His law.
His law. And I know a lot of people will say, well, I've been very prosperous. How'd you get it? Because I tell people all the time, Satan is the king of counterfeit. He's a deceiver. He told Jesus, if you fall down and worship me, he said that I will give you all the kingdoms of this world. That's what he said. See, you got to understand this thing from the perspective. If you're doing what your flesh and your desire wants to do, and you see the so-called blessing that you think comes from it, it's usually set out from Satan to destroy you. Bottom line. But when you do what the Most High says, you see, because he said the blessing of Yahweh is what? Rich. And it addeth what?
No sorrow.
No sorrow.
Hallelujah.
These blessings that you call blessings out here in the world, check them out. They add sorrow. Oh, no, that's not the case. I played football, breaking the commandments my whole life. Most people will say, oh, man, you made it to NFL. You're blessed. In fact, I've heard it several times. You're so blessed. What did that blessing add? Sorrow. Just tell the truth. It splits up families, causes envy, strife, jealousy, causes you to do dumb stuff, make dumb. The Bible says the fool and his money shall soon depart. Happened to me. The what? Fool and his money. You understand that?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, go ahead, keep reading, bro.
This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do all according to all that is written therein. But then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success.
Oh my goodness. Look what he said here. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth. So you should be speaking it. Why? Because if you speak in this law, that means it's where? It's in your heart. Because what the book say, from the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. Right? That's what the book say. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. So he says, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. This sounds like David, don't it? It was out his mouth. He meditated on it day and night, that thou mayest observe to do, action word, according to all that is written. Where? Written what? In the law. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. I'll read the last verse. Have I not commanded thee? Here's a question. Yes, question mark. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Which means he ain't going to forsake you again, right? He ain't going nowhere. But that is a condition. It comes with a condition. That is if you do what he tells you. He just told you the entire verses behind it. If you do his law, if you keep his law come out of your mouth, if you meditate on his law day and night. It's a beautiful thing because all you got to do is read it, especially when you go to bed. Right before you go to bed, you got to read that law. What end up happening to you in your sleep? You're meditating on it. Mm-hmm. You wake up, you're thinking about it. You wake up, you speaking his law. You singing songs. You see that? Mm-hmm. To praise the Most High. Then you start the day off doing the same thing. Yes, sir. Then you teach your children. My boys is young. Sometimes I be like, man, they really listening. Well, I motivate myself by saying, hey, it don't matter because as long as they in this house, they going to get one every day until I don't care how old they turn. They're going to go through this law. They're going to go through this law. A bunch. You see, throughout their lives. This thing is simple, man. He makes it simple. Last verse, man. Psalms 19:7. Let's end it there. And we're done after this. Psalm 19 and verse 7. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. You want a bunch of wisdom? You want to be very, very wise above all your teachers, as this same man of Yah that wrote this one wrote in another song? Keep his law. There you see it right there in that verse. Law and testimony in the same verse. Just like Isaiah 20 we spoke about earlier. It will make the wise the simple. Be blessed. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah. Bless you.